I didn't recognize my own name when it echoed across the boardroom, not because it was mispronounced but because my sister was standing there smiling, as if it belonged to her. She adjusted her blazer, placed her hands lightly on the polished table, and accepted the applause. Meant for me. Months of sleepless nights, rewritten proposals, and silent panic attacks condensed into a neat PowerPoint with her name at the bottom. I sat at the far end of the table, spine straight, hands folded, breathing carefully so no one would notice. The way my chest tightened, this wasn't the first time she crossed a line. It was just the first time she'd done it in front of the board growing up. My sister learned early how to shine without burning. She was charming, effortless, and always one step ahead socially. I was the opposite, quiet, observant, the one who listened more than she spoke. Our parents used to say she had the spark, and I had the substance. I learned to be okay with that. I learned to work in silence. When we ended up at the same company years later, people called it lucky, I called it complicated. She joined through connections, I joined through interviews, tests, and rejection emails that trained me not to expect praise. We worked in different departments, until a restructuring quietly placed us on the same strategic project and internal innovation plan, meant to decide the company's future direction. I was assigned the research and framework, she was assigned coordination and presentation. On paper, it made sense. I built the model from scratch. I interviewed staff anonymously, ran projections late into the night, and mapped risks no one else wanted to acknowledge. When I emailed her drafts, she replied with thumbs up emojis and vague encouragement. Looks great. She'd say, I'll polish it for leadership. Polish, that word still makes my jaw tighten. The night before the board presentation, I noticed something odd. The shared document access had changed, my editing rights were gone. I told myself it was a technical glitch. I didn't want to believe what my instincts whispered. The next morning, I walked into the boardroom and saw the title slide. Her name, only her name. As she spoke, I felt something settle inside me. Not rage, not panic, clarity. I stopped hoping she'd acknowledge me. I stopped waiting for fairness to arrive on its own. Instead, I listened carefully. She repeated my words, but she didn't understand them. When a board member asked about risk mitigation, she hesitated. When another asked about the long-term cultural impact, she answered broadly, safely. I watched faces around the table shift, not dramatically, just enough. Then the chair leaned back and asked one question. Can you walk us through the methodology behind the predictive model? The room went quiet. She opened her mouth, closed it, laughed lightly. It's proprietary, she said. But the outcomes speak for themselves. That wasn't enough. I felt every eye drift subtly toward me. I hadn't planned to speak, but I had planned for this moment. Long before it arrived, I raised my hand. I can explain, I said, keeping my voice steady. If that's all right. The chair nodded. My sister didn't look at me. I stood, connected my laptop, and opened the archived version of the model, time-stamped, documented, undeniable. I explained assumptions, data sources, and the reasoning behind each decision point. I spoke calmly, not defensively. When questions came, I answered them directly. When challenged, I showed the math. No one interrupted. When I finished, the room was still. The chair thanked me. Another board member asked how long I'd been working on it. 6 months. I said, independently. My sister finally turned toward me. Her smile was gone. The meeting ended without applause. Later that afternoon, I was asked to stay behind. HR joined, then legal. Questions were asked, not accusations, just careful, precise ones. I answered truthfully. I didn't embellish. I didn't speculate. By the end of the week, the project was reassigned. Officially, it was a realignment of leadership. Unofficially, everyone understood. My sister stopped speaking to me at family dinners. She avoided my eyes. When her mother asked what happened, I said simply, the truth came out. I wasn't promoted immediately. That came later, quietly, without ceremony. What I gained first was something more valuable, a reputation for integrity. No one questioned. Months later, I saw my sister in the lobby carrying a box. She didn't look angry. She looked smaller. As she passed me, she paused. You didn't have to do it like that, she said. I met her gaze. I didn't do anything, I replied. I just answered a question. That night, as I shut down my computer, I realized something important. Revenge doesn't always roar. Sometimes it whispers, waits, and lets the truth speak for itself. If you want to hear more stories like this, stay close. There's always another truth waiting.